Afternoon, guys. I've been getting a lot of questions the past few days via email and Instagram and Facebook about my lifts I've done this week using bands. There seems to be a lot of confusion as to why people use bands, why I use bands. So I thought I'd do a video to clear up the reasons why I use them and why other lifters use them. It's not something that beginners need to be using. Beginners can get away with just using straight weight and then basic linear progression. Intermediate lifters and advanced lifters, they can really get some benefit from using these. You can either use it as a main lift, change it your main lifts and stick them on, or you can use it like I often do as a secondary lift. Why do I use them? Well, for me, for one, it's fun. I enjoy doing it. But the main reason is that it helps you break through sticking points. It forces you to use a lot of power to power through the lift, and it improves your velocity, strength and force production into the lift. It provides a level of resistance you're just not going to get with just free weight alone. The ability that you need to use these is to put a lot of speed into the lift. Unless you use a lot of speed as you initiate the lift, the bar won't lock out. If you're using a really heavy weight along with the band tension, you just won't lock it out. So the speed that it develops is brilliant. For speed of deadlifts off a floor, they're fantastic. Speed of bench press off a chest, it forces you through that. So that sticking point of bench press, you get sort of halfway and you falter. With the bands, when they're kicking in, you really have to force your way through that, and you'll find when you go back to a straight weight, it feels an awful lot easier. So it's they really do build a great deal of speed into a lift if they're used properly. The only thing I will say with them is that all band work, especially pressing against the band, because obviously there's two ways of setting up bands. There's reverse band where you hang the weight, and there's pressing against bands where you put the weight, the bands on the bottom, hook onto the bar and press against it. The pressing against or the pulling against is a lot tougher in my opinion than reverse band work. It will make you very, very, very sore. So you just need to be a little bit careful about how much you program into your system, and how much recovery you're getting from it as well, because they are very different. They're very difficult to recover from. But like I say, the benefits outweigh the negatives without a doubt. So what sort of bands can you get? Well, my favourite band that I use are just these big heavy black bands. Now there's masses of different types of bands available. You can go from light, very light, to these things, which I think these are pretty much the heaviest you can get, and these provide a great deal of resistance. When I do a reverse band deadlift, 2 of these hanging on the bar from the power rack I use takes off 60 kilos from the bottom. So it really enables you to power into that lift and overload the top end. So for me, the thing I like about them for deadlifts especially, because I'm strong from the floor anyway, they help build my speed from the floor, but also they enable me to overload that lockout and really, really hammer my lockout. But equally, if you're slow off the floor and strong at lockout, they will again force you to have that speed from the floor. It just carries over for whatever type of lifter you are. They just carry over. If you want to experiment, there's other types of bands. There's lighter bands you can get. There's just a standard heavy band, heavy green band, which I used a lot in the past, but I now favour the big black ones. And then of course there's light bands such as that as well. There's loads of different types available. You can get them from Strength Shop. You can get them from I think My Protein. I think do them. There's a few places that do them. But I always use Strength Shop. They're not very cheap. The big ones are quite expensive, but they do last. All I will say is when you come to use them, before you use them every day, just check there's no little tears. Just go alongside of them and just run your hands through and just check there's no perishing or nothing's going to split. Because the last thing you want to do is load some weight up with these and then for it to split halfway through, it would be disastrous. So you can never guarantee it won't. Obviously these things can happen, but if you're looking at it, you can see if it's in good condition or not. So just check every time you come to use them. So yeah, that's it, guys. Basically, it's a tool in the box again. Like chains were a good few years ago. Chains have kind of died a death a little bit now. They do a good job as well. It's a similar sort of thing, but they're a bit more faff to put up. And the thing is, with these, chuck them in your gym bag, take them with you. It's a lot harder to take 30, 40 kilos of chains around with you. So it's not a bad little thing you can use. Just program it sensibly into your lift. Like I say, you can use it for your squat, you can use it for your bench, you can use it for your deadlift. You can use it on a vast range of things. And one other thing you can do actually, if you can't afford a slingshot but you've got a light band, is just double it up like so and just chuck it on arms like that, not like that. I'll get there in a minute, like that. and you bring it up to the top like that. Get it nice, set nice, and you can use it like a slingshot when you do a bench press. It's a cheap way of doing it. I used that for quite a few years and it worked really well, to be fair. So yeah, bands, they're a really versatile tool, but only certain people need them. If you've been lifting for, I'd say, for 2 or 3 years, they could well be something that could help you break through your plateau where you're struggling with. Like I say, you can either just replace your normal lift with them and put them in, or you can do them on a secondary like I tended to do when I was powerlifting. I still use them now I'm doing bodybuilding, because I find if you do rep work with them, they overload that top end against them and you get a really good workout with them. So yeah, very versatile tool, well worth putting in the kit bag. Just be very careful about the recuperation, because they will make you very, very, very sore. So yeah guys, so if you fancy a change, get yourself a pair of bands and see how you go with it. Any more questions or anything about them? I've already had quite a few, but any more questions about how to set up, etc., just give me a shout. If you look at some of my videos, you can see how I set up. Oh yeah, one last thing, an easy way of setting up for deadlift, if you want to pull against, is just to drape it over the top of the bar. You can see in my lifts actually, so it just drapes over the bar like that, and then you stand in a bit in the middle and that pulls against it. If you've got a platform, deadlift platform with band hooks, crack on, it's even better, but that's an easy, quick way of setting up for that. Most power racks these days will have band attachments at the top and the bottom, so you can, if you bench press in a rack, if you squat in a rack, you can set it up fairly easy, but it's just a case of just getting it set right. If you don't have any of that sort of equipment, obviously you can stand on it for deadlifts, and then for everything else you can hook it onto a heavy dumbbell or 2 heavy dumbbells and drape it over the top. There's lots of different ways, just play around with it. If you look on YouTube, there's lots of different ideas for setting up. But yes guys, so any more questions, give me a shout about it. But I think if you do put them into your routine, you'll be pleasantly surprised by what it does for you. It will be to build a great deal of force and strength into your lift, and speed into your lift. And when you go back to your normal lift, it's a possibility you should see fairly good PB. So anyway guys, have a good afternoon. Any more questions, just give me a shout and I will be happy to answer them. If you like the video, please subscribe and like and share. Cheers guys, catch you soon.